This here is from Colonel Kurtz on X, and it appears Esme Bianco, one of the women who accused Marilyn Manson, is coming out with this senator to say some things. Colonel Kurtz says, why are the Democratic politicians in California propping up fake Me Too victims like this Marilyn Manson accuser who's been utterly discredited over the last 2 years? Senator Susan Rubio already paraded Evan Rachel Wood before the California Congress. And I will note, these are Democratic senators. I'm not going to get deep into it, but I keep saying also with Amber and Johnny, the support for these women is generally on the left side of the aisle. But I digress, just pointing that out. And then Marilyn Manson Uncanceled covered this in more detail, of course, as it usually does. Esme Bianco reemerges as an advocate for the Phoenix Act 2.0. Today, the 12th of August, 2024, Esme Bianco reemerged like it was 2019, absent Evan Rachel Wood. As we know, Esme Bianco was the co-creator of the original Phoenix Act SB 273 with Evan Rachel Wood and headed by Senator Susan Rubio when they sought to extend the statute of limitations on domestic violence and succeeded in raising it up to 5 years in January 2020. Both Evan and Esme have testified on behalf of the Phoenix Act before the California Assembly in July 2019, both describing horrible abuse at the hands of Marilyn Manson and their inability to hold him accountable due to the statute of limitations. However, when they testified at that time, neither of them named Marilyn Manson as their abuser. They didn't name him until February 1st, 2021, when they, with others, decided to all name him together on social media. All right, thank you for the recap. Originally, Evan and Esme wanted to extend the statute of limitations to 10 years, but settled on 5 years. More recently, Susan Rubio has been leading the charge to extend the statute of limitations from 5 years to 15 years in what they call the Phoenix Act 2.0. 15 fucking years? How do you prove something that happened 15 years ago? I mean, you can if you've still got the receipts. Police report, video, audio, photos, some kind of good evidence. After 15 fucking years goes by, it's really hard to prove that. Look, I know it's hard to come out as a victim. I understand that. I'm not arguing, and I agree. But once 15 fucking years go by, you've got to think about the ramifications of how difficult it is to prove. Events that happened 15 years ago, especially if drinking's been involved and things like that, could be pretty blurry. How do you take someone to court over something that happened 15 years ago? It seems like in 95% of the cases, it would be he said, she said, maybe at best some witnesses that were there. It's just too long. Though Evan has, for some reason, largely dropped out of anything to do with the Phoenix Act, Senator Rubio gave tribute to her efforts at this conference in leading the charge to get the first Phoenix Act passed. Interestingly, Esme Bianco, who's always taken great pride in her efforts as the co-creator of the Phoenix Act, stood before the podium today and now advocated on behalf of the Phoenix Act 2.0. How about this? How about 100 fucking years? It honestly doesn't matter. All that matters is evidence. I'll also add authenticity. There won't always be evidence. I get that too. So then it comes down to authenticity, witnesses, the authenticity of the person being accused as well. But with no evidence, it's going to have to be crystal clear something happened, or some kind of combination of both. And like I said, over and over, what these women should be doing is teaching women how to get evidence. If it's a one-time thing, that's rough. But if it's continuing, like they said, everyone's got a camera, everyone's got a device that can record sound, anyone can go to the police or the doctor and get a medical report. They need to teach women how to get evidence to determine who the bad guys are. If not, we're stuck in a catch-22. So instead of saying, make it longer for people to come out and have their story believed, no, let's have education on how to actually catch these guys in the act. That would be the best thing for everyone. But they don't want that. They just want the easy way to win a court case for some clicks, career, money possibly. Not in every case, but I'm talking about the cases where the women aren't being truthful. What was most interesting about Esme's brief speech is that it sounded like it was 2019 all over again. She briefly talked about her previous efforts with Evan in creating the Phoenix Act and the need for further legislation to extend the statute of limitations, as well shared briefly her own personal story of abuse at the hands of Marilyn Manson. However, not only did she allude to but not name Evan Rachel Wood in her speech, but she alluded and did not name Manson either. It was like she deliberately tried to hide their identities, even though we know who they are and she's spoken to them publicly in the past. Could it be that Esme did not name Evan because Evan did give Esme proper credit as the co-creator of the Phoenix Act in her documentary, Phoenix Rising, where she gives that credit solely to Ilma Gore instead? Perhaps she did not name Manson. She doesn't want to get into legal trouble after settling the lawsuit against him. Yep, makes sense. Maybe it's something else, but one thing's for sure, it sounded a lot like her speeches in 2019 where she was deliberately not naming names. Also, we've got Chef's Kiss timing here where Manson's touring again and has an album out. And he notices she may have had her tattoo removed or had it changed. As we can see here, it's very dark, and in this picture it's much lighter. It's hard to tell because the video is not the best quality, but an interesting thing to think about. I didn't know they had those tattoos. I think Evan Rachel Wood has one too. It's also to be noted that Esme's reemergence comes at a time when her close friend, Dr. Caroline Heldman, is planning a protest outside Marilyn Manson's concert in Anaheim, California on September 6th. No doubt she's doing this mostly on behalf of Esme Bianco. More on this later. All right, as Manson Cancel says, more later on these protests. I'll be following it. I don't think they should be there. It's a disruption to a place of business. It's not even Manson's full concert. I'm pretty sure it's opening, so it seems wrong. If they want to protest, go protest. Absolutely. Freedom of speech, but go to town hall or something. Go stand out on Main Street. Go to the mall. I don't know. Leave him alone with his business. That's my silly opinion. Anyway, I'm doing pop culture, entertainment, whatever comes up with Johnny Depp. Manson, of course. If you're not subscribed here, consider it. If you don't, I'll be sad, but I'll get over it. See you next time.